that, and I can get mad at him, but, we had that conversation. So it's really about, making sure that what you're saying, what you're sharing, that, everybody's respected and you're comfortable with it. Those are really important. And then obviously you have to be conscious of what you're putting out there, because if you don't want a boss or clients or whoever it might be, colleagues, to see what you're putting out there, then don't put it out there, obviously, because you can delete it, but it's still out there. So I think it's a great way to communicate, because obviously, Tony, we wouldn't be sitting here today having this chat with you without modern technology.
Right, and I think that it is the greatest tool invented. And I think that just like all the other great tools, there's always someone that's going to misuse it or use it for the wrong reason. So it takes people like yourselves that are out there doing the right thing to be persistent and consistent in teaching others this opportunity. Do you go and speak to people, or do you do stuff on the internet only? I know that missiondatenight.com is where everybody can find out all your information. But do you do webinars, or how can people plug into you?
Actually, we have a new one coming up. We actually haven't started promoting it. For the next week or so we'll be promoting that one, which is it may seem like it's off topic, I don't know, but it's about transcendent lovemaking. So when, again, that part of the relationship is great, then, of course, it still does feed into the rest of your life and as a relationship. But, yeah, so we constantly have different things coming out. We just rebranded this year with Mission Date Night, so we've had some changes. So we're just now getting back to that speaking live in front of people.
Right.
Of course, we speak virtually.
Right, and we've got a lot of plans for webinars. We're bringing out Mission Date Night TV on YouTube. So there's there's our podcast, Mission Date Night, on iTunes that you can follow. So there's a lot of ways that we are speaking and coming across. We're using all those technologies to get to talk to people.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of moving parts, and, it takes a lot of time. So I'm sure you guys work more hours than you want. So do you find being in that environment that most of us are in, that date night is super, super important?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Yes. I don't even...
it should be, this, the question you just asked should not even be a question. Anybody in a relationship should have time scheduled for their relationship. And it saddens me that we have to talk about this and that we have to bring this up, that couples don't have time for their relationship, or they put it on the back burner. And, whether it be kids, the job, whatever, this was, why you guys got together in the first place, and we don't want to see people lose that.
Well, one of the big things that, of course, Mission Date Night, I think, portrays that. The brand portrays that, because we have the spy theme, and so it's very playful.
Yes.
And even though we bring amazing, deep, important, vital content and all the different things that we, talk about, and the different workshops and webinars and so forth that we do, it's serious, right? There's serious information, but we always do it with some kind of playful, humorous piece to it. Because as adults, are we not expected to set some of our childish, silly playfulness off to the side, bury it down deep somewhere, and get serious? We've got responsibilities now, and we have to take care of things. And Rob and I are just so adamant that, if we would all be more playful in everything that we do. And I've mentioned lately on some other shows that we've been on, I know, even President Obama, whether or not you like him, I like him, but whether or not you guys do, I don't know. But, you'll see him sometimes do, some of the more, what show was he on there? It was Stephen Colbert's, I think, or somebody, but he's funny, and he does some funny pieces and brings up some things. So there's some humor, and I'm like, what a great example, in my opinion, to say, he's the President of the United States, but yet he can still bring in some humor at times. And I think that if we all did that, whether it's in business or our relationships, oh my gosh, what a difference it would make. It makes everything just a little bit more lighthearted. We can, relieve some stress. Laughter, as I think most of us would hopefully agree, is a wonderful medicine in that sense.
Yes, and
so, that's a big, big piece. And that's, even though we bring such like I said, amazing content, and some of it's really kind of off the wall. We bring some ideas for us with Mission Date Night that aren't normal. They're different. But we do it with such a playfulness, and we do it because we want everybody to know it's okay to be dorks and be goofy and yet still have this really serious piece behind all of it.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. I just got to tell the listeners out there, I'm proof, okay, for, let's see, I think we're going on 10 weeks now. And what I did was I put the date on my calendar, and I didn't do it at night. I did it on a Friday afternoon, so I would end my work week with something happy. Now, I'm not saying I didn't go back to work on Saturday, but every Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock, I come back to the office at my house. I pick up my wife, and we turn everything off, and we hit a movie, maybe a little shopping at the mall, dinner, and we come home, and that's it. That's our date night every Friday. So I find that if you schedule it in your calendar, you'll be more apt to do it, and if you get consistent at it, it's just, I mean, I refuse to put something in place of it. So I think you guys are on something. I really thank you for your time today. I know Michelle's going to want to have you guys back on, so I look forward to hearing from you again.
Okay,
awesome,
very good.
you.
The pleasure was ours. Thank you.
All right. And one more time, just give everybody the information how they can connect with you.
MissionDateNight.com. You can find all of our social media links, of course, there. You can find the link to the podcast there. Obviously, you can just jump over to iTunes and look up Mission Date Night as well if you would like to do that. And I know that, Tony, you'll have the link, which is MissionDateNight.com/take-action. Should be nice and easy, you guys listening today. So if you want to get the free PDF copy of Richer Together, we do offer that to the listeners today.
Awesome. I look forward to it. And when can they, do you do a live podcast, or is it recorded and then put up on iTunes?
Our podcasts, usually we pre-record those, but we have podcasts that come out every week. And as Rob kind of hinted at earlier, we're getting ready to release Mission Date Night TV. That'll be on YouTube.
You'll get to see our smiling faces.
Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. We'll look forward to it, and I wish you guys a lot of luck, and I look forward to having you back on the show.
All right. Thank you, Tony.
All right. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come back with our next guest, a young lady by the name of Shantel Susan-Haines. She's money guidance and a professional consultant. Now, I know we all need a little bit of guidance with money. In my case, I need to get some money to get some guidance to get some money, but have some guidance with my money. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Live at Choice, where your imagination becomes your reality. If you can imagine it, it's possible. If you can believe it, it's yours. We get it. You're done with the way it is now. You're finished with all the frustration around why you feel stuck and your life isn't working. Imagine what your life would be like if you could have all the answers and see new possibilities. We at Live at Choice choose to make a difference. Live at Choice has developed a proven process and a series of questions that lead participants to the answers they seek, gaining new understanding and self-awareness for both your personal and professional life. If you're ready to get to the life you want, contact us today. Visit liveatchoice.com to get started.
Are you an entrepreneur? Are you where you want to be? Do you believe that if you build it, they will come? Unfortunately, entrepreneurship doesn't work that way, and that's why you need to read Famous Isn't Enough. In this book, you'll find real-life situations and lessons learned. When all is said and done, there's nothing better than being your own boss. Remember, nothing just happens. You have to put in the work. Famous Isn't Enough is your roadmap. Get your copy today at www.famousisn'tenough.com.
Do you want to know the secret to building a successful business quickly? It's all about taking action, but not just any action. It takes inspired and consistent action to get profits. Join Michele Scism, the six-figure results lady, as she asks successful entrepreneurs their profitable secrets every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Time on Take Action, Get Profits with Michele Scism on the Tough Talk Radio Network. If you're ready to take action and get profits, you can find out more about the show at takeactiongetprofitsradio.com.
All right. Welcome back to Take Action, Get Profits with Michele Scism. And I am Tony Gambone, guest hosting today for Michele, who's traveling, and we look forward to having her back next week. Make sure to mark your calendar for in September, and I got to get the date for you before the show is over. You will be able to, if you're in the Houston area or not, anywhere in the country or around the world, fly into Houston for Michelle's 3-day event. This is the 3rd year running, and I'll tell you, I haven't missed one yet, and they're awesome. Okay, very good stuff. It seems as though our second guest is not going to be able to be on the show today, so we got fortunate enough to still have Dr. Rob and Janelle Alex on the show. So, guys, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks. It's great to be back.
You know, I always believe that everything works out the way it's supposed to work out, no matter what. So, we were talking about date night, and what I wanted to make mention to it. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show, and I think it was Success Magazine or a Dan Hardy video that I was watching, and he was interviewing someone that talked about being just acted like we were busy, doing nothing, you know, and we had a calendar that we all use because everything's accessible on the internet. So if you have a calendar and someone was to say to you, so, you know, Janelle, what are you doing next Tuesday? You're going to grab coffee. You're going to look at your calendar to see what you have in place. Mm-hmm. And if you have a to-do list and, you know, it's just on your desk, it never matches up with your calendar. And that date night thing is always on the to-do list. Okay, especially me, I'm always putting it down so I don't forget, right? I make a note to remind myself. The thing of it is, if it's on my calendar and someone says, so what are you doing on Friday at 1:30? So let me look at my calendar. No, I'm booked out the whole afternoon on Fridays. How about Thursday or Monday? So if people would use their calendar for their date night versus what they do in business, make it part of your day. Because, look, I think life is business. And you can't succeed in life unless you properly attend your process. So what do you think of that?
Oh, yeah. You should see my Google Calendar. And I personally like my Google Calendar just because it jumps from my Mac to my phone to my Kindle. You know, it jumps across to all of my devices, and so it's really easy wherever it might be. It could be, you know, tomorrow morning the kids have a dentist appointment, and, you know, they're going to go, hey, do you want to schedule one in 6 months? Well, if I were to flip through, and if I already had something scheduled for Rob and I 6 months out on some particular date, then I would be like, oh, can't do it then, right? So, yeah, I think it's absolutely important. And I know a friend of ours has said, we recently interviewed her, Martha Tara Lee, but she had talked about penciling it in. So if for some reason something huge came up that you honestly need to adjust the date night, it's okay. Just make absolutely sure that you're committed to rescheduling it that week.
Well, and once we put it in our calendar, the calendar that you go by, you know, day in, day out, like you're talking about with business, you know, it becomes official. You know, now instead of just, you know, it's an idea you have or it's a good thought, it becomes official. It becomes part of your routine. And I think that's the important part. You're making the dedication. When you write it in that calendar, or type it in the calendar, whatever situation you're in, you're making the dedication that this is part of my life. This is important, you know, that not only does that show it to yourself, but it shows it to your partner too. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say there because when, you know, I know I mentioned earlier, Rob and I, the first company we owned together was quite different, obviously, from what we do and now and have done for the last 5 or so years. But, and having the bowling center, you know, Rob works approximately 90 hours a week there, and that was a lot. And I still have my other business, my dance studio, and so I was there about 30 hours a week and 50 at the bowling center. So I was hitting around 80, and then we had kids, and you know, that goes into that whole story. Sometimes I give when I'm in front of people, but, you know, I was like, oh, my gosh, I was on the PTO. I was the president, actually, and I did this, and I was on the board of directors for that, and, you know, the list is ridiculously long. And at one point I was even in college doing some things. So, you know, we had to make time. We had to say, yep, you know what, Saturday afternoons we took, even though we worked so many hours, and sometimes those Saturdays were honestly, no kidding, about 23-hour Saturdays. So we would take an hour, 2 hours, and we would have someone else work for us, and we would go to lunch somewhere. We were pretty tired, and there were times we joke about falling asleep while we're sitting there, having lunch. But, we still made that time, which was probably the hardest time in our lives, in our relationship, to have a date. Because we were so busy with our work and so tied to it.